Good morning. Thank you for staying with NTV today. My name is Gladys Gashanja. Now, as I had promised you earlier on that we were going to have that conversation about vasectomy, and this is coming from a story that was aired right here on NTV by Eunice Omolo when she brought to the fore the statistics and the status of vasectomy in the country. Now, get this. Men who are taking up this procedure are actually increasing by the day, and those statistics were actually very interesting. And Kakamega County is rating as #1 in as far as taking this up is concerned. So the question here is, gentlemen, would you do or take up vasectomy? And if not, why? Would like to hear from you at Gladys_Gashanja at NTV Kenya. And of course, the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Whatever question you have, concerns and comments on vasectomy, tafadhali, you can reach us on those numbers. And of course, we'll be reaching some of our county colleagues to hear directly from you in as far as vasectomy is concerned. But before we get to the nitty-gritties of it, as I promised you, I have Daktari in studio to answer your questions. Let's remind ourselves some of the reactions that came out from the different parts of a country when we went to the streets asking the men, would you actually undergo vasectomy? Here we go.
Mimi naweza. Juu kiangalia saizi hali ya maisha imekuwa ni ngumu.
Yaani futiliwe mbali. Na tutaki njia kama hizo sababu zitaharibu hata vizazi vijazo.
Mwanaume inatakana abaki hali vile alivyo. Kwa sababu mwanaume astahili akatwe sehemu yake yoyote.
Naweza kubali nifanyiwe. Maana yake hata sasa hivi nimebarikiwa watoto 3 na wale ambao wako nje pia kuna 2 watatu.
Kwangu mimi siwezi. Inabidi mimi nikae. Mwanamke ndiye anafaa afanye vitu kama zile, si mwanaume.
Mungu alituumba ili sisi wanaume tuweze kujaza dunia na tuziweze kuzaana. Sasa ukifanya ukatwe, hiyo inasababisha sasa hakuna kuzaana tena.
Naonelea pia ni nzuri kwa sababu inasaidia pia mambo ya ya kupanga kifamilia, ni kupanga familia. Na pia itawezesha mtu binafsi kujitegemea pia.
Kuitwa mwanaume paka uwe na hizo sehemu.
There are better ways of doing it in terms of family control. Like we can have no plant implanted in the lady. And then it's like the other side effects later in life where chances of developing prostate cancer are higher in people who could have performed this vasectomy.
No, that's not right in the first place. Of course, even in the Bible, the Bible is against this. I'm a Catholic moderator, and that one we are told no way.
Hiyo ni dhuluma kwa mwanaume. Mwanaume anafaa kae vile vile, akuve na vitu vyake. Inabidi wa mama wakuwe wanapanga uzazi, sisi wanaume tukae venye tuliumbwa tu na Mungu. Sisi kazi yetu ni kutafuta, tunaleta. Na sisi wanaume tunafaa tunatafuta na tunaweza enda na hapo tupate kitu kingine. Mwanaume hafai kufanya upasuaji kamwe.
So definitely varied reactions in as far as vasectomy is concerned, but most of them saying, no, we cannot do this. And also it speaks to a lot of ignorance, perhaps, in as far as this procedure is concerned. It actually is a safe and effective birth control choice for men who are certain they do not want to sire children. But the good news is, with technology, actually this procedure is reversible. Now, we will get into the nitty-gritties of it. And with me in studio, Dr. Charles Ochieng, who is a vasectomist, and he's also the founder of Winam Safe Parenthood Initiative. Daktari, thank you for joining us. Now, you've heard what the fellow men are saying. Others are on Twitter saying, what are you talking about? But you're a living testimony because you have undergone this procedure. Why did you do it?
Gladys, thanks for inviting me into the studio. So I did vasectomy because for 2 reasons. Mm-hmm. Number one, I was brought up in a big family. My dad was polygamous with so many kids. So from a very young age, I thought a man should not leave the role of family planning just to women only. Mm-hmm. That a man should be always conscious and alert about the size of his family and do something about it. Mm-hmm. So even when I was young, it's something that I had thought through. And I knew that at one point, when my family is complete, I would do it. Then the second reason is when my partner started using these methods, at some point she had some health challenges. You know, she tried different types and they were bringing her issues. And you see, if you love your partner and she has given you 2 great boys, really, and there's something you can be able to do to alleviate her suffering, so why not?
Okay.
So that is why.
All right. Now, would you say maybe it has been, or it was easy for you to make this decision because you're a doctor and you understand exactly what vasectomy is about, but also even as you answer that question, note that some of the men we even talked about, and even my own colleagues in their office, say, we understand what it is, but I'd rather stay and die as I was born.
Yeah, for me it was easy. One, because I'm a doctor, and I'd also traveled to many countries where it's being done. Actually, if you look at the vasectomy profile globally, Sub-Saharan Africa, I think, is the least, is the worst in terms of prevalence of vasectomy services. The other countries like USA, they do like 500,000 vasectomies annually. Yeah, go to New Zealand, Australia. So these places, vasectomy is widespread. And a man does not need to be reminded. And you see, those places, child support laws are very strict. If you make a woman pregnant and you run away, the government will look for you. They'll confiscate your driving license. They take you to the CRB. So you are really, your life will be very tough. So that's why men are very conscious about issues to do with children. So you find most guys, once they have 1 or 2 kids, now they just focus on their careers and take care of their wives and take care of the kids. Yeah, so, and for me, I think this is the future. This is where we need to go. Because you look at our constitution right now, it's pro-children. Yeah, you know, gone are the days where we could just spread the seeds all over the place and nothing will happen to you. But with the child protection laws that we have in Kenya right now, and men are being dragged to court. Yeah.
Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritties of what exactly vasectomy is, and just listening to various views, I'm sure as a doctor you can pick up a lot of ignorance in as far as what this procedure exactly is about. And as you explained to us what vasectomy is, if we have that image on how and exactly what is done to the male reproductive organ so that it can actually help with family planning, if you can see that, Dr. if you can just explain it to us. You can see, let us know what vasectomy is about.
Showed a pointer.
But we see where the circles are. And that is where I believe you snip.
Yes.
So walk us through what exactly is done when vasectomy is being done.
Yeah, so first of all, it starts with counseling. You cannot just ambush a man in the streets and then, and then you tell him, you come, we take you for vasectomy. You know? First of all, you have to do awareness. You have to tell them that such a service is available for men whose families are complete. These are men who have had enough children, now they want to participate in family planning. So under counseling, you have to tell them that vasectomy is permanent. Yeah, it is permanent. It's like the tubal ligation in women. But vasectomy is much easier and much simpler than the tubal ligation. See, tubal ligation, you have to open a woman's tummy here in order to access the fallopian tubes. And you see there are so many structures in there. You have the bladder, you have the omentum, you have intestines, you know, things like that. So there are risks involved. If you compare this with the vasectomy, the vast difference is just below the scrotal skin. Yeah. So, and we do it under local anesthesia. That means, as it is being done, you just chat with your doctor, and it usually takes like between 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you just talk stories, you talk sports, you talk about vasectomy itself,
Yes.
Yeah, you talk politics, and before they know it, it's done.
Okay, so just clarify this for me. There are 2 ways of doing it. There is the invasive method, and I hear there's another procedure now with the new technology.
Yes.
Explain that to us.
Yeah, so a long time ago, you know, vasectomy is it's a very old procedure. it didn't just start the other day. You know, most people in Kenya, they think this is just something which has come the other day. And they tend to associate it with, you know, a long time ago, we used to have castration for men. You know, they could make them eunuchs, biblically in Egypt and things. And it was like that one for dogs or bulls.
Yes.
Where you take the organs and you pound them.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think that's what people are still stuck at.
Yes. But this one is different. You know, it's a very intelligent way of manipulating a man's reproductive system, so that you only select the vas deferens, that tube that transports the seeds. Yeah, from the testis to the urethra. It's very easy to feel. Yeah. Yeah. And even after the procedure has been done, you are still a man. You still have your physical strength. You still have emotional intelligence. You are still as effective, and you can still be able to enjoy sex normally. The only difference now is that you don't make a woman pregnant. We call it sweet juices without seeds.
Aha, sweet juices without seeds.
Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe that might make some meaning to them, yeah.
Yes.
So it is not really castration or it is not a painful procedure like the way they do for bulls. See, bulls sometimes they put the rubber band at the base of the scrotum, and then you just ablate it. It's usually a very painful procedure for the animals. But for vasectomy, it's very intelligent. You only select the tube that transport the seeds, and you block it. So long time ago, they could use the open method. They take you to theater, you know, you are given general anesthesia, you sleep, and then they open up a wound on the scrotum. The mid portion of the scrotum is called the median raphe. So that's where they used to cut. And then you are admitted, and then you are discharged the following day. But you see, the problem is that there are risks, you know, bleeding, infections, you know, pain. But then in 1974, there was a Chinese doctor called Professor Li. So he's the one who invented this new nose scalpel vasectomy, which just, there's specialized equipment which you can be able to use to just isolate the vas deferens only. Yeah, and that's why it's quick, it's easier, and the safety profile is quite good. Yeah.
Now, well, we're still talking about the safety because it is a great concern for men. What are you doing with my organs? You say there is less pain.
Yes.
Is it less pain or no pain?
Most of the time, the pain you feel is the pain when you are giving, when the needle is spinning. You know, the problem we have is the healthcare seeking behavior of men is not that good. So anything to do with syringes or needles, they want to stay away from it as much as possible until the last moment when maybe they are too sick or something. But the pain, the initial pain you feel is just the pain of the needle penetrating through the skin to the paravasal tissue, to the tissues around the vas deferens. So when the needle is going in, you must feel some pain, of course. Okay. But once you infiltrate the local anesthesia, it's numb, and the pain is almost negligible. And we are talking, actually. You can say, Daktari, that left side, I think there's an issue. Yeah, so tunakuongeza dawa.
All right, so still talking about it. Are there any complications to be worried about?
Yeah, there are possible complications. Particularly if it is done by somebody who is not so experienced. So like me now, I'm comfortable because I've done it for years now, and myself I've also experienced the same. Yes. So that's why I'm very comfortable talking about it. But the possible complications are bleeding, and that's why we tell men 2 days post vasectomy, you are not supposed to engage yourself in very strenuous exercises, overexerting yourself, like going to the gym, or riding a bicycle, or carrying heavy weights. Those ones you need to avoid at least for 2 days. So for those 2 days, you just work in the office like yours. Yeah, or just at home, you rest. And when you are resting, watching television, NTV, you just raise your legs on the sofa set. And mama brings you juice and some bread and eat,
So in short, you're pampered.
Yeah. So the other possible complication is infection. If you don't take care of the wound very well. Yeah. So we try as much as possible to minimize the complication because they are disinfectants, you know, these antiseptics which we use to clean the place very well. And then even for you, when you go home, you need to shower, you know, just nicely, and after bathing, you make sure the place is dry, the wound area is dry, because if it is very moist, then there's the risk of infection. And we don't, prophylactic antibiotics are not given routinely. We don't give antibiotics to prevent infection, because the risk is very little. Yeah, most of the time at the point of discharge, we just give them paracetamol. This is just Panadol.
Just to manage the pain.
Some pain, yeah.
Okay, and is there something that you should be aware of before you take this procedure? For example, I was reading up on it and it said if you had chronic testicular pain or testicular disease, you're not a very good candidate for vasectomy.
Yeah, that's true. There are contraindications. There are things we look for, and if you find that a man has them, then you don't do. And some of them, they could be systemic diseases. Like you find some guys who have uncontrolled hypertension.
Yes.
Some people have uncontrolled diabetes. Their sugar levels are very high. Those ones, if you do, there's a possible risk of infections. Then in the scrotal area, people have had prior surgeries, scrotal surgeries, scrotal herniorrhaphies. You know, people have hernia and then they have done surgeries. People have hydrocele. Hydrocele is where there's fluid collection in the scrotum. Those ones we don't do. There are also people who have varicocele. These are dilated blood vessels, the veins. They can dilate in the scrotum.
Okay.
So those ones we are very, very careful. We don't. There are people who have elephantiasis of the scrotum. Yeah, where the scrotal skin becomes so thick.
Okay.
Yeah, and also there are some people who are quite obese. Until even identifying the vast difference might be a challenge. So it's very detailed. If you look at our website, there is a checklist that men, and of course we expect men to be very, very honest with us when they are filling in the registration questionnaire online. So we ask you all those details. Do you have any scrotal problem? Do you have any systemic disorder? All those things. Any bleeding problems?
Okay.
Yeah, like if you have a bleeding diathesis, we might not be able to do it until we call your physician just to confirm that you are safe, until he gives us a green light. That's when you can go. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about recovery time. You talked about a long time ago under general anesthesia, the next day you're discharged. Now that the procedure is less invasive, what is the recovery time?
You know, it's a walk-in, walk-out procedure, and there are guys who come during lunch hour. Yeah, from the office you come, doctor, I need a snip, and you snip, and the guy goes back to the office.
Okay.
So long as within the next 2 days you avoid tough job, you know, carrying heavy weights, cycling, going to the gym, those ones you avoid for 2 days. Sex you can resume after 3 days or when comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. So it shouldn't interfere with your normal daily activities.
Okay, so it only takes 15 minutes. It's something that can be done over your lunch break and you go back to your normal duties, but just be aware that some things you shouldn't strain yourself lest you invoke complications. But we will talk about if this procedure is foolproof or not. And of course, I'm sure there are many other questions coming from you. Remember our numbers. You can reach us with any comment or question, and on Twitter at Gladys_Gashanja, at NTV Kenya. And speaking of which, I have somebody here who is saying, I would never do this. Surely this is so ungodly. That is Matu Kamau. Let's hear from Murang'a County, where my colleague Martin Mwaure is standing by with a group of men to give us a perspective of what they think vasectomy is and if it's something they would take up or not.
Yes, thank you so much, Gladys. As you have rightly said, we are coming from County 021 here in Murang'a. Specifically, I'm at a place called Mokoyo, where I just want to talk to men over here. As you can see, I'm surrounded by over 100 men. We want to delve on that topic of vasectomy. To tell me, maybe do they support it or not? You know, this is a topic that is discussed on the hash low tone here. I just want to know maybe how many are willing to go the extra mile and maybe take vasectomy as a family planning. I'll start with the gentleman on my left here. Nataka tu nianzie kwa majina. Uniambie wewe kama mwanaume unaweza saidia bibi yako kwa kufanya vasectomy kama njia ya family planning?
Mi kwa majina yangu mi naitwa Washila. Washira Jackson. Mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Murang'a. Mi kwangu personally siwezi fanya vasectomy. Kulingana na mila na itikadi ya tuseme Ukikuyu, hiyo ni kitu immoral na sidhani naweza ifanya personally.
Mnasema kuwa mabibi wakitumia dawa za family planning zina affect. Mbona wewe huwezi msaidia apart from kusema ni immoral? Nini ingine inaweza fanya usisaidie bibi yako kufanya family planning?
Kulingana na mimi kuna natural ways za upagaji uzazi. Na hope ukiona bibi yako ama partner wako hawezani na ile hiyo njia ya madawa, na hope mnaweza agree na daktari ama muagree na yeye muwe mnafanya hiyo ya natural ways za kupanga uzazi. Lakini kwangu personally siwezi fanya vasectomy.
Haya, ningetaka tu kuzungumza na jamaa mwingine hapa. Nataka tu niambie, kulingana na wewe, unaweza fanya vasectomy?
Kulingana na mila yangu siwezi fanya vasectomy. Juu hiyo ni mambo ya Mungu venye alituumba tukiwa binadamu.
Na kuna wanaume wanasema kuwa ni immoral, ni ungodly, yani si njia ya Mungu. Wewe unaamini maneno hayo?
Siwezi kabiliana na hao hivyo. Hiyo ni maneno ya Mola, alituumba hivyo. Hizo vitu hizo kukatilia uzazi wetu, hiyo ni kitu ya mifugo, sio ya kawaida ya binadamu.
Asante sana. Ngetaka tu kuzungumza na jamaa mwingine tu, nisongee tu kidogo. Nataka tu niambie wewe, unaweza fanya vasectomy?
Hapana, hiyo ni kitu baya sana. Unasikia? Hiyo kusema ati tufanywe hivyo sisi kama wanaume, hiyo haifai. Unaona hizi dawa family planning, hizi za kupaga uzazi ati kwa wanawake, anyewe hizo zinatu affect. Lakini kusema ati tufanyiwe hivyo, hiyo ni baya. Hiyo inafaa kufanyiwa watu wenye wana rape. Unaona, ama kuna jisi. Lakini si mwanaume wa kawaida umfanye hivyo. Hiyo ni baya.
Unajua unaweza kuwa unaelewa kuwa kufanya vasectomy inachukua tu muda wa dakika 15 na ni reversible. Ukifanya vasectomy leo, ukitaka kuendelea kuzaa kuwa unaweza enda hospitali na ukasaidiwa kuendelea kupata watoto.
Hapana, hiyo kikwetu inafanyiwa maubwa. Unaona sasa? Hiyo sasa unasema. Na ndio inafanya ubwa isitoke kwa nyumba. Unasikia? Hiyo ubwa huwezi ikatoka ikaenda kwa jirani, yani inakaa wapi? Inakaa hapo. Unaona? Venye tunaelewa hiyo sasa, hiyo mambo unasema wanaume wafanyiwe.
Asante sana.
Asante.
Gladys, as you have just heard, I have just managed to speak to a few gentlemen over here who are saying that they are totally against it, even despite trying to convince them that the process is reversible. They are just saying that it is un-African and they cannot even dare think about doing vasectomy. Back to you, Gladys.
Martin Mwaura coming to us from Murang'a County, and it's interesting just listening to this man and Daktari, as you had earlier mentioned, people confuse castration and vasectomy, and clearly from what you could hear, that's what they think will happen to the men. But also, I think when they say that it is a role of a woman to actually do family planning, I remember you in the story saying it's not woman planning, it's family planning. So the man should be part and parcel of this, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. You see, the way family planning was introduced in Kenya in the 1960s, it was introduced back in Tomboy. I think there was the Minister for Planning that time, the President by then, Kenyatta. And they saw that for you to manage the economy effectively, there has to be family planning. Because you see, the nation starts from the family unit, yeah? That a man should be able to get just enough kids that he can be able to take care of comfortably without straining. Because if you strain, if you find that taking care of the kids is becoming a burden, then men can easily break down. And when they break down, they turn into alcoholism. Some become thugs in order to take care of the kids, you see? So that's why our founding fathers saw it fit to introduce family planning in the country. But the way it was introduced at that time, it was introduced as a woman's issue. They were calling it family planning, but when it comes now to the actual action, then now it is the women. Even right now, if you go to most family planning clinics, it is the women.
Yes.
Yeah, men hardly, even when obviously you can see that a woman has some health challenges. She has tried, she's given birth to your kids. She's tried this, and she cannot tolerate them. So I think it's just if you're a nice guy like me, I think the best thing is just you step into her shoes.
Okay.
And talk to the doctors around and see which doctor can be able to assist you.
Now, I believe, and just asking around and talking to a few people, that there are more men as good as you are.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, we even want to have a father or a man who was to come and talk about his experience, but his wife refused him to come. So it tells you a lot in as far as how society looks at it and what they think people would think of them after the procedure. But even as we're talking about, I think at this point we need to be cognizant to the fact that there were close to 1 million unintended pregnancies last year, which tells you that there is need to actually pull together to actually do family planning at the end of the day for the better good of the economy, as you put it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, they say that unplanned and unwanted pregnancies in Kenya is almost like 45%. This is almost half the population unplanned, and you can actually tell if you are not planned for. Like some of us who just grew up, no health insurance, no educational insurance. What wanna car to see? Yeah. So that's why we need to think out of the box. We need to do what we call male involvement, and involvement of men should not just be a man, escorting a woman to the family planning clinic. That is good. You can be able to understand possible side effects and also assist. But we also need men to take personal responsibility. And this is not something which is mandatory. Nobody can force you at,
you have to do it, yes.
It cannot happen like that. It's something that requires a lot of public awareness. We need to train lots and lots of doctors and nurses who can be able to provide the service, so that by the end of the day, the society should not feel like there's one side which is really oppressed and should be forced to undertake any kind of responsibility. And then there's the other group of the men who just want to go and enjoy themselves in the bedroom and go out without taking any responsibility whatever. I think that's a very imbalanced kind of society. Society should be gender parity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We are prepared to go there.
Okay. Yes. Now, we're still taking your reactions, comments on the vasectomy. And there's Atsimeren here who says, I underwent that procedure 5 years ago. Unfortunately, I'm a proud father of 2 daughters. I cannot advise any man to do it. It never works. So, Daktari takes you back to that conversation or the question I'd asked you earlier. Is it foolproof? But before you answer it, I hear we have Diego on the line from Matu. Diego?
Yes, my question to the doctor is, I have heard that after the vasectomy procedure, that is whereby the Vastafaras are being cut and dyed at the knobs. Now he's telling us that you will be releasing sweet juices. In other words, juice without seeds. Now we know that all these juices are being produced in the testicles. Now, where will this immature without seeds pass through when the Vastafaran have been cut?
That's
now, last the question. I'm using an example of a bull, which we have seen bulls which have undergone vasectomy, losing their sexual drive. Now, how about human beings?
Okay, now to correct you, what animals undergo is called castration. And what human beings undergo is called vasectomy. There's a huge difference, as Daktari had talked about earlier.
But now, in the process whereby you tied them up, that is cutting the Vastafaran, not castrating, removing the testes.
Okay, Diego, we hear you and we shall address your concern. Now we have Thuku from Nairobi. Thuku, what is your question or your comment?
Okay, my comment is this. Okay, first of all, My name is Shiboituku, and I can't do it, number one.
Why?
Because I'm still young. Bado sijaoa. The other thing is that siku hizi wanawake hawakai sana kwa marriage, wengine wanatoka. If I want to go to marry another woman, tunaenda kuwa affected. The other things the doctors there is saying that inaweza rudishwa tena. Hiyo ni tena kuleta ugonjwa kwa mwili yangu kwa kutumia madawa. And then the other thing is that I have seen that Kenyans, they are not ready to do it. Number one, most of them, they are arguing through economic. So that means that Kenyans, I think they are not yet ready to do it.
Okay, and that's why we're having this conversation to enlighten you about vasectomy. But thank you for calling in, Thuku, and have a wonderful weekend. Now, Doctor, you've listened to them at a few conversations there and concerns. Let's start with Diego's concern. He feels that when you go in, it will take away something from him. He doesn't understand how he will be able to, for example, ejaculate, yet his vas differences are actually cut. Just explain to us the difference between the sperm and the semen.
That's a very important point. Actually, a lot of men think that after vasectomy now, you are gone completely. No erections, no gasm, no ejaculation, no nothing, which is not true. During vasectomy, we block. There's a tube which transports the seeds. And you know the seeds is only 5% of the semen. That semen, you see, most men think that the whole of that semen is sperm.
Is sperm.
The whole of it. Yeah, that is not true. The sperms are only 5% of it. Others, 95% are just supporting fluid, which has caught the seeds. And this 95% comes from other organs. You know, we have the prostate, we have the seminal vesicles. So they contribute different percentages, but they provide food for the sperms. They just provide some swimming media for the sperms. And that's why after vasectomy, it is not, you might not be able to notice easily the difference. Because all those processes, ejaculation, all those things, they are the same. Yeah, it's only that now we have blocked the 5%, so you cannot make a woman pregnant. Yeah.
Okay, for Thuku, we understand why you wouldn't do this procedure just yet because you're not yet married, don't have a child. But he brought up a great concern that with all the inconsistency we're seeing in marriages, you could go for this procedure, then your partner goes away. So I think at this point we can address this question. Is vasectomy reversible?
It can be reversed, but it's usually the success rate of reversal. It's very minimal. Yeah, and it's very expensive to reverse, and that's why you need to educate the public very well, so that the people who are going to do vasectomy, they are people who really know what they want, that they have had enough kids. Like in other countries, you find people just don't want kids completely. They just want to focus on their careers. Yeah. So what can be done in case there are regrets? But you know, if you had given birth, if you had children already, those are your kids. Because if you look at their birth certificates, your name is there. So whether the lady goes to America or Europe, these are your kids, and there are legal processes which you can use to get your kids back. These are your kids permanently, for life. So that shouldn't really be an issue. But in case there are regrets, which we know is only 5%, from global studies which have been done, only 5% of the people might regret. And you can be able to tell upfront the people will regret. Usually they are people who are young, they are not married, you know, or maybe they are having some psychological issues by the time they are doing it. So those are the people who might eventually regret the 5%. But even at the time of regret, in case they do, there are so many services here, like even here in Kenya, we have IVF services, we have adoption services, we have so many street children, like in Nairobi we have over 60,000 street children, who need parental care. You can take them and nurture them and coach them very well.
So in short, there are other options of becoming a parent. All right, now to the question earlier, is vasectomy foolproof?
Oh yeah, like the first guy who asked a question, I think it was from Eldred. Yeah, so a long time ago, doctors could just ligate two ends of the vas and then resect in between. So that one had a failure rate of like 3%. But when this professor from China came with the no-scalpel vasectomy, and they introduced something called fascial interpositioning, where you introduce some tissue in between the divided ends. So that has reduced the failure rate to maybe something like 0.1%. But still, if you look at the consent, because men have to sign a consent, nobody can just tell you do without a consent. The consent dictates that you come for what we call seminalysis after 3 months. Seminalysis is just is a test for the semen to confirm that your vasectomy was successful. And this you should know upfront, even before you do your vasectomy, that you should know that after 3 months, because you know, the vast difference is long. It takes 3 months to clear. Yeah, so that's why after 3 months you come, you test. And once the laboratory technician has told you that you are now azoospermic, we call it azoospermia, no sperms in semen, then now you are good to go.
So we are saying after the procedure, continue with the contraception or contraceptive methods that your wife or yourself were using before the 3-month period is
then
over.
You come and confirm,
Okay, all right. Now, I'm seeing so many questions coming through, and let's just probably unpack the myths and facts as we go along. You said the procedure is not painful. It's something that is very minimal and takes only 15 minutes and something.
At least when you compare what women go through, I think vasectomy is better.
Okay, and also, I see a question, not one, not two, will it interfere with a man's performance?
In bed?
Yes.
No. You see, sex is controlled by the brain. Sex is also controlled by testosterone, which are hormones produced by the testes.
Yes.
Yeah? These are not interfered with. We don't cut your brain, neither do we remove your testicles. This ones remain the same.
Yeah.
So your sex drive and performance should remain intact after vasectomy. But men should also be, there's some guys who just relax, you build cholesterol in your body, you become hypertensive, diabetes, you don't exercise, you eat junk food, and then now when your erections fail, then now you want to say, I think it's vasectomy.
Okay.
No, we still want men to lead a healthy lifestyle. It's good for them, it's good for their families, it's good for the country. When you're active, you are exercising, you're eating traditional vegetables, lots of fruits, you drink lots of water, you go to the gym. So that, and that will maintain your erections up to very late, maybe until your 70s, 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Another question here that I think is within the parameters of this question. Does it permanently or in some way damage your sexual organs? And I'd like the picture to be put up back in as far as what exactly is cut or interfered with in the male reproductive organ. Now you see where the vast difference is, there is a link to the testicles. Now you would understand when somebody says, so what happens to the sperms, or does even the testicles after vasectomy continue to generate sperm?
Yeah, so after vasectomy, you still continue to produce sperms, but they are reabsorbed in the body. It's just like women. Women produce eggs every month, but it's not a must for them to be impregnated. It's not a must for them to get pregnant every month. And some people think that those eggs is the menstrual flow. Menstrual flow is different.
Oh, really?
The eggs are usually just reabsorbed intraperitoneally in the abdomen. It's the same thing for men. Usually another guy told one of the men, so when we were speaking about vasectomy, he told me, you see, Dr. but you see, once you block the vast difference, the testes will just balloon, It will just balloon, and then it explodes one day. But that is not true. It's just reabsorbed into
your system.
These are just proteins which you can be able to use for other purposes.
Okay, now family planning is only for women. Some you've had, some we're reading on. Now, let's refer to a picture that I picked up on social media. Do we have that, CK? And I think we can put that out there so that at least we can answer this question by... I can't really pick up his name. It's a bit jumbled up, but he says, why are we starting to talk about things that only women should do? So let's look at this, and maybe it will give us a better perspective No, that's not the one I'm looking for, but we shall be getting back to it in a few moments. But in this case, probably you can talk about, there was somebody who says that the procedure actually increases the chances of you developing prostate cancer. True or false?
I don't think that's true. Otherwise, right now I would be dead of prostate cancer.
Saying that you did it in 2008.
Yeah. And there are lots of other Kenyans who have had prostate cancer without having undergone vasectomy. So there have been these big long-term cohort studies of men where vasectomies are popular. You know, they can be able to do such long-term research. It has never been found to be associated with prostate cancer, because the beauty with the vasectomy is that we don't leave any chemicals in a man's body. We don't leave any hormones in a man's body. You remain as natural as you are. And the wife also becomes natural, because after you've had a vasectomy, she has no need of using any other thing. So you are natural, she's natural, and you are... So it's beautiful.
It's even better. Okay, just looking at some of your comments still coming through. I think one here by Benji Ashuma, my question, what happens to the sperms that never get out of the body? We've already answered that. They are reabsorbed back to your body. It is a Francis here who is very adamant, this is against the law of nature, not me, no way. And then there is another one here who actually puts it out there. I see the sense
if you go to the market, women have like more than 13 methods available to them. Men only have condoms and vasectomy. Yeah, so if there were pills, I think that would be something that should be encouraged. So you should have options. And for men who have had enough kids and they want something permanent so that they can focus on their careers and helping the society, then, and you want vasectomy, that is it. But it should not be mandatory. I think what the idea some people have is that we are trying to force people to have it. No, it's something absolutely mandatory. It's voluntary. You only do it when your conditions demand so.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody should force you.
All right, so somebody here is saying, okay, if it is absorbed back to your body, are there risk factors or probably weight gain when vasectomy is done?
I mean, from studies which have been done, I mean, it is not associated with the weight gain. The things which increase people's weight is sedentary lifestyle, where we just sit and relax, take beer and nyama choma, and just, that one for sure you'll gain weight. You don't exercise, if you eat junk food, you know, things like that. These are the things which can make you overweight, but vasectomy is not. I did it when I was 75. I'm still 75.
Kilograms.
More than 10 years down the line.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So it doesn't change.
I love the fact that we're talking with a man who is walking in their shoes. So he's giving you direct feedback from something that he actually lives with. And we have another one here. Is there a connection between vasectomy and sexual transmitted diseases? Does it protect you from such?
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't mean that after doing vasectomy, then you start becoming promiscuous and sleeping with every other woman you find around. That is not allowed. It doesn't encourage immorality. Actually, people who do vasectomy, most of the time they're very responsible members of the society. And they're usually mentally stable. If you look at guys who go for vasectomy and the general population, these are from studies actually, they have a lot of high self-esteem, very high self-concept, confidence, and they are not immoral. So vasectomy is not about immorality and faithfulness or this other bad behavior.
I see Solomon Ambuku here who is very adamant about this being very ungodly, but he also puts something to the fore as abortion equals to women and it is illegal, vasectomy equals to men. Hence, we should also be putting it in the illegal compartment. Your thoughts?
Abortion in Kenya is not entirely legal. It is permissible when the life of the mother is at risk. Yeah. But you see, now vasectomy is something that requires a lot of. It's something that you should do when you are completely sober. You know, we are saying that this is somebody you've had enough children, so you just want something which is permanent, so that you can focus on taking care of your children, which I think every other government would really love to support such guys. Maybe give them some cash to do some businesses so that they can help their kids and protect the wife, you know. Because now it gives you a lot of mental focus. And it also gives you a lot of mental freedom. Studies have shown that some men who have undergone vasectomy, they perform very well in bed because you know, they know that they cannot cause unwanted and unplanned pregnancies.
Pregnancies, yes.
So government should really support such services.
Yes.
But it has to be voluntary. You know, men talk as if they are being forced.
I totally hear you.
And it is very different from abortion. Abortion is something totally different. Because see, abortion, you are terminating life for one reason or the other. But vasectomy, there's no life. You've already created life, so your purpose for doing it is to protect the life that
I think what they're saying is the sperm are alive and well, the boys. So when you actually stop them from doing what they're supposed to do is what they're trying to equate.
If you feel that way, if you feel that it is moral for you, no one can force you to do it. Don't even try. Just continue whatever you're using.
All right, so even as we wrap up this conversation, there's one Joseph who says on Twitter, if you can't impregnate a woman, you're definitely less of a man. God did not create man for sweet juices, as Dr. is saying. I will not board this one and resist at all costs. Now, he is just one of the many men who have come across. Some have shown ignorance, others have come out of a point of concern. But clearly there is a need to create awareness in as far as vasectomy is concerned. How best to go about this, Dr.
But you know, people sometimes they speak like this. You know, some people want to really look macho and very tough, you know, in the public space.
Yes.
But sometimes in private, they really come to us. Like when they come, the campaign we did in 2016, the one we did at the National Theatre. The response we got initially, and you see that time we had invited so many doctors from across the globe, in some countries where it is very popular, in US, Canada, India. So they came in and we didn't expect to see any man. You know, we were just doing it because most of us, we had undergone it. So we were just testing the place to see if there will be any response.
Yes.
But we were shocked. In 2 days, we had done 150 patients, and they were still coming. There's another campaign we did last year, 2018, April, and it was a small campaign for about 1 day, and we did about 70 men. So, and they come with needs, you know. Somebody comes and tells me, Dr. I have 5 kids, and my wife has tried this, it has failed, so I just want this. Make sure it is permanent, completely. Yeah, so we do it.
All right, so the best way to go about this, I mean, the World Contraception Day is coming up in September. What should be put in place to ensure that more men actually take this up?
Now, we need word of mouth. Like, there are, in East Africa, because now when you do those camps, a lot of men come also from across the region, from Uganda, Tanzania, Sudan, Somalia. They come, they congregate here. So we need to encourage them to be open. They shouldn't shy off. They should say, oh, me, I had it. See, when guys hear from their friends that they had it, now they come in. We need to train more doctors on this service, on how to provide it, train more nurses. And I like the media. You know, they have been very proactive, you know, trying to really get the facts about vasectomy so that men should not think it's a castration. And this is the way to go. We inform the public. Hakuna haja kufinya mama sana. If it is not working, you participate also.
Well, a great conversation, a lot of myths that have been busted by Dr. Charles Ocheng, who is a vasectomist and a founder of Wyndham Safe Parenthood Initiative, who also underwent vasectomy in 2008, and he's alive and well and kicking. Well, thank you for all that information and thank you for participating. That conversation continues at Gladys_Gashanja at NTV Kenya. Your questions will be received. received.